What is up everyone, welcome back to the Commander's Lair. It is of course Joey here. This will be my Questing Beast deck tech today. This is just shy of $100 at the time of recording, so it's a $100 deck tech. Questing Beast is 2 green for a 4/4 legendary creature beast with Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste. It can't be blocked by creature with power 2 or less. Combat damage that will be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented, and whenever Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker that player controls. So was obviously a really breaking kind of card when it came out. It obviously has 6 abilities, and we're kind of going to be playing around a bunch of those and kind of working around that as well. And right before we get into the video, I just want to mention to you guys, make sure to like if you enjoyed the content, subscribe if you want to see more, and of course comment your thoughts or any deck tech you'd like to see me make in the future. So as this is an infect deck tech, I'll just explain what infect is quite quickly. So if a creature is infect, it deals damage in the form of -1/-1 counters, and when it deals damage to player, they get a poison counter. And so the -1/-1 counter is obviously just the same as +1/+1. If it deals 2 damage to the creature, it would instead get 2 -1/-1 counters. So if it's a 2/2, it would die. If it's a 4/4, it becomes the 2/2 permanently. And the poison counters are, for example, if someone has 10 poison counters, they lose the game, right? So if you hit them for with a 2/2, they get 2 poison counters. You hit them with 8/8, they get 8. If you hit them with a 2/2 and an 8/8, they obviously get 10, and then they lose the game immediately. And every single player has their own separate poison counters. So we're playing a lot of infect cards, anything that can give infect quite well. So that's, cards like Blight Mamba or Cyst Bearer, just any basic creatures that give infect. Some of them are a lot stronger, like Phyrexian Juggernaut. It's a 6 genetic for a 5/5 artifact creature Juggernaut with infect and it attacks each turn it's able. Obviously it's just quite bigger, originally. Putrefax is 3 green for a 5/3 with trample and haste and infect, and the beginning of your end step you sacrifice it, but obviously it does come out and swing really big immediately. Phyrexian Swarmlord's a great one. It's 4 green for a 4/4 creature with infect, and then beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 counter, put a 1/1 green into creature token infect with a battlefield for each poison counter your opponents have. So obviously the further this game is that if we can kind of get 3 to 4 poison encounters on say 2 of our opponents, this is going to give us 6 to 8-ish 1/1s that obviously will infect, which can close out the game very quickly. And then another thing we can do, obviously it's not very well done with these colors, is obviously kind of give that to our Questing Beast. So Gothic Exoskeleton is 4 generic for an artifact equipment, and it gets equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has infect. And whoever Gothic Exoskeleton becomes unattached from a permanent to sacrifice that permanent and equip for 2. So it's basically, if we can get our Questing Beast bumped up slightly, we can, or not even actually, because this will be a 2-turn clock, because it gives us +2/+2. So in 2 turns we can kill someone with Questing Beast, or just the other cards in our deck. And then obviously the last one being Triumph for the Hordes, which is 2 green for a sorcery. Until end of turn, creature you control get +1/+1 and get infect and trample into end of turn. So the easiest game ender, it's going to pump up our Questing Beast, all of our infect creatures, or any of our non-infect creatures, and it should be really easy to pump for the win with this on the board. Obviously, infect is often quite hated in the community, but I think people have been coming to accept recently that obviously it isn't that powerful because it is quite hard to do. And the biggest issue is that it comes out of nowhere and no one can see it coming, which we don't generally do in this deck. It normally is quite slow. We don't have any immediate pump effects that are going to win the game on turn 2 or 3 or something. It's going to be quite slow. We're going to use consistent proliferate effects like Evolution Sage proliferates when a land enters the battlefield, or Khan's Bastion, we can tap 4 mana every turn to do that. And then also to synergize with one of Questing Beast's other abilities, that damage can't be prevented by all creatures you control. Obviously there are some cards that do that, and the best ones of them are Fog. So cards just like the basic Fog, and so we have kind of like a suite of those cards in this deck. So just any kind of Fog effects like Haze of Pollen or Moment's Peace. Because obviously if we prevent all damage that gets dealt, right, our creatures still deal all of their damage as long as Questing Beats out, but our opponents deal no damage. So this can be a nice way to keep our creatures alive potentially, or even just block off attacks or something. And we can get a hold of the fact that our deck does play Fog, so someone might be less likely to attack us because we might Fog, because we do have a couple of them in the deck as well. So it's a nice political tool as well. Obviously, back when a lot of infect creatures were printed, it was, a while ago before power creep really got into a thing. So the creatures are a lot less powerful, so it's going to be hard to win the game through that. So what we're going to be doing is basically bumping them up and, kind of either making them so they can't be blocked, or making them really big. So this is, we've done, cards like Overcome and Overrun, giving them, +3/+3 or +2/+2 and Trample. Makes it obviously very easy to pump through for damage. And if you have a bunch of, smaller creatures, or they all turn into 4/4s and power 5s and whatnot, it can be really easy to win the game through that, especially because they have trample, so it's hard to block. Unnatural growth is one, it's really nice. It's 1 and then 4 green, so 5 mana total for any enchantment. At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. So obviously this will double questing beast, so questing beast will be dealing 10, or be a 10/10, which is obviously massive. It'll turn all the 1/1s into 2/2s, which then they'll be buffed again. You know, this is a really quick way to close out the game. Obviously the color restriction isn't much because we are playing mono green, so we can really easily win the game, especially with infect. It's going to be even quicker. This is one of the easiest ways to win the game, just pumping up our creatures. Along with bellowing tangleworm, which is 3 green for a 4/4 worm with intimidate, and other creatures you control have intimidate. So this creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and/or creatures that share a color with it. So it's likely that, you know, our opponents aren't going to have as many green creatures with us and/or, you know, artifact creatures. So you know, we would connect with damage quite a lot of the time with our creatures, especially if we're given the, you know, vigilance, death touch, trample, everything like that. And then Champion of Lampholt is 1 green for a 1/1 human warrior. A creature with power less than it can't block creatures you control, so, you know, if we can get this up to like a 5/5 or so, it's likely that they're not going to be able to block with more than 1 or 2 creatures. And then whenever the creature you control ETBs, put a 1/1 counter on Champion of Lampholt. Obviously, that it's very easy to trigger this deck. We're playing a creature deck. We have 36 creatures, so it's really easy to trigger, and we're pretty much always going to be having our this be quite massive. You know, it's also a damaging threat as well when we hit our opponents with it, and obviously, you know, win the game because none of our creatures can be blocked. Thank you guys so much for watching this. That'll be all. I really like this deck tech. It's definitely an interesting take on something that, you know, obviously is really popular in standard, but has never really been seen in Commander that much, especially, you know, in the command zone. So I've just done, you know, an infect deck because that's kind of what sprang to mind, because I really wanted to build questing beast, and infect is really fun. You know, trample interacts really interesting with death touch as well, so you can give those 2 mechanics and have interesting plays there. Otherwise, let me know how you would take a questing beast deck. Obviously, it's so broad, just anything to do with creatures. Obviously, so it's really interesting. It has some planeswalker hate there. I don't know what you could do with that, but it definitely is interesting. Otherwise, you know, if you recommend any deck techs for me, I'll be happy to make them like I did on my last video. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. As I mentioned in the intro, make sure to like if you want to see more, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all next time.